First question, the album's out. Is there a sense of relief that it's out? I mean, it's been 3 years since the last one.
Well, it's a strange mixed feeling of relief, but also you sort of miss it, if you see what I mean. We were so engrossed in it for so long, and it's such a living, breathing thing while you're making it. And then when it's out, it's like, oh, we don't have any control over that anymore. But we wouldn't put it out unless it was ready, so there is also some relief.
Are you happy with it? I mean, it's done, it's dusted, it's out there, people are listening to it. Are you happy with it, or do you listen to it and think, oh, I wish I would have changed this or that? Or are you a perfectionist in any way? Or?
I would say we don't listen to it. I mean, we listen to it hundreds of thousands of times while we're making it, and then once it's done, it's kind of too difficult to listen to it, because once you've decided that's it, you're not going to do any more work to it, you can't change it again. And whenever you listen to it, you probably would think, I want to change it, or you know, while you make it, you really live it. You know, do you know what I mean? You have a very close relationship with everything on it, and it's like a friend. And then once you let it go, it's like sending your kids off to college. You know, you have to kind of let them do what they want to do, and not worry about it too much.
How does it sit or compare in your own mind with your previous albums? Can you answer that question already or not?
No, it's our fifth album. That's the only thing it compares to. It's different, you know. They're all different from each other. It's hard to answer that, I'm sorry.
Would you say each album is a reaction to what you've recorded before, previous albums? Or do you sort of build on what you've done? I did an interview with John Hopkins, actually, a couple of years ago, and he was talking about how, when you were working with Brian Eno, really the sort of creative juices were flowing, and you were going places you've never been before. Were you building upon that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we worked with the same people on this one that we did on Viva La Vida, and so everybody's used to each other and probably a bit more open with each other. So it's probably a natural progression.
Was it easier to write the songs, as much as it is easy to write songs? How are the songs actually, how did the ideas come forth?
I don't think it's ever easy to write songs. Well, at least write good ones that you think are good. So the songs came where Chris would bring songs in and we'd all work on them together and...
scrap most of them. Yes, that's how it is. It's normally like 9 out of 10 don't make it, but we work on all 10.
But what happens to those scraps of music? I mean, are they gone forever? Do you come back to them at some point and say, hey, remember this, could we use that? I mean, do you ever bring back ideas from previous albums?
No, some of them get stripped for parts, as it were. Like, you might use a line that you once abandoned, but it's very seldom that a whole song that didn't make it comes back to make it, if you see what I mean. So it might be a line or one bit of melody or a chord or
a guitar part or something.
Yes.
If the Coldplay of 2011 could go back and speak to the Coldplay of 2001 and give them a piece of advice, what would that advice be?
I would say we have our fifth member, Phil, who's our sort of boss and creative director, as it were, and he left us for a while around 2004 to 2006, and some of that was probably our fault because he started as our manager, and then it all got a bit blurry and chaotic, and so I would probably tell us to fix that situation so that he wouldn't leave for a bit. Although then maybe if he hadn't left, he wouldn't have come back so strong, and so I don't know.
Yeah, I would say... Oh no, I don't know actually. That's a good question. I maybe don't worry so much. It'll be all right.
I mean, you are now obviously massively successful. Are there any concerns, or are there any other things that you would still hope to achieve? I mean, surely now you sort of, well, I wouldn't say you've done it all, but where else would you like to go?
We really haven't done it all because we haven't yet got a group of songs as good as, you know, the Stones group of songs or the Beatles group of songs, and they're way, 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 way ahead. So in terms of commercial achievement, we've done okay, and we're so grateful for that. But you know, our thing is just to try and make really good songs, and if there's a few more to be made, then we'd like to make them.
John Mayer, in an interview with Spin magazine a few years back, said that a lot of British bands came over to America and they sounded immediately British. You could tell they were British bands. But with Coldplay, you sounded like you were from everywhere, right. And that may be part of your success. Do you consider yourself now at this stage, with all your success, a British band? Is there Britishness in your music?
I think we can't help where we come from, and we do come from kind of all corners of Britain. So I think maybe that's why we're a bit less parochially English, maybe. But because Guy comes from Scotland, Chris from the west of England,
you from Wales,
Will from the
south. It's literally all four corners. Yes, I feel like I'm very proud to be British, but I also like the idea of John Lennon's "Imagine No Countries" kind of thing. I think we're all. I don't really like having to be defined by which country you're from. I know that sounds a bit pretentious, but
no, it's fair enough. Obviously, in a couple of years, it'll be the 50th anniversary of the British invasion, and a lot of people said that obviously it began with the Beatles, and it's now being sort of bookended. And do you actually sort of see yourselves as being part of that tradition of British music in America, like the Beatles and Coldplay? Do you see yourself being part of that story?
Well, that's a very sweet question, but I think no, because it's on a very different scale. I mean, we're doing great, but we're not there's not Beatlemania. So if it is bookending it, ours is a very tiny book, a bookend to their very huge one.
In terms of your relationship with the American fans, is there a difference when you perform between the reaction between American audiences and British audiences, for example?
No, most places we go nowadays, we tend to have incredible audiences. They probably were more noticeably incredible in America because it was so new to us. There's a different way of showing appreciation or loudness or cheering or whatever. But then you realise that even a place like Sheffield in Britain, which is, you think the audience is not into it because they're quite quiet. That's just a different way of listening to a concert. So we now know what to expect from different places, but we love it all just as much anywhere. You see what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think in some audiences wear their enthusiasm on their sleeve, as it were. They shout about it. If you go to South America or Southern Europe or even North America, people really shout. But then you go to Sweden. I'm just repeating what Chris has said, basically.
But you're repeating it more eloquently. And it bears repeating.
Except I said Sweden instead of Sheffield.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, they're very similar.
Do you actually read the reviews of the new album?
We try not to.
I've read a couple of ones, but I haven't read any of the good ones. I didn't read ones, I just saw that there were some.
What is your response to that? Because obviously now that you're massively successful, you've been taking a fair bit of stick.
Yes, we have for a while now. For about 7 years now.
Yeah.
That's okay. As long as there's still some nice ones. We're still very lucky that we get any good ones.
Music is interesting in that it's the only sort of art form that really divides people in a way that maybe painting or
movies
don't. Yeah, not as.
I hate Back to the Future. People never say that. They say, "Oh, I didn't really like that movie." They don't. But that's okay, man. It's great that people are passionate about music, and whilst I salute the people that hate us, I'm not really interested in them. I'm more interested in the people that like what we do, and I give them the double salute.
I think with the internet now, there's such a massive weight of opinions that to start trying to read your own reviews and things is just pointless. Yeah, pointless, because you could keep reading for 100 years and never read the same opinion about what you've done.
I was speaking to you from College Radio Day, an organisation. I don't know whether you're aware of this, but a lot of college radio stations, many of whom actually supported Coldplay in the early days with the Blue Room EP from that point onwards, are being sold off and shut down.
Right.
And they are obviously they're outside of the mainstream. They are their own little tastemakers. What is your response to that, to the idea that college radio doesn't really exist much in England, but certainly in America it's its own medium? What is your response to stations being sold off, and what is Coldplay's response to that?
Well, like everything in this changing world of music and how it's consumed, it's sad if anyone has to lose their job. That's not great. But it's also, in this instance, it's more of a creative thing, because college radio is such a breeding ground for people who go on to make great programming elsewhere. And so What is the reason for it all being sold off?
A lot of colleges and universities are financially strapped, and they're just selling off their FM licenses, and so their licenses are gone forever.
Yeah, well, that seems bad to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perhaps short-sighted.
Yeah, we had this issue in England with a channel called Six Music, which was rumoured to be being shut down for a while, and there was a big protest. The way to stop it is to have all the listeners write a petition or something, and just to show how much people love listening to it.
And support College Radio Day, of course.
Yeah.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,